Another operation that we're going to start using are exponents. So exponents are a short way to show that we're multiplying the same number over and over and over and over. So if we have like 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, however many times you multiply it, it's going to be 3 to that power. So a little bit of lingo. A we call the base, and n we call the exponent, or sometimes power or the exponent. So 3 to the 4th power would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 is the base, 4 is how many times we're multiplying that. So, I mean, I could do that. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. And how about the next one? Try to do this in your calculator. So 2.5 to the 3rd power. So rather than typing in 2.5 times 2.5 times 2.5, enter 2.5, and then most calculators, it looks like a little, I like to call it carrot top sometimes. It's like the top of a triangle. So that's your exponent button. So if you hit 2.5, that's saying to the 3rd power, and then hit enter. And let's see what I get. 2.5 to the 3rd power. I'm getting 15.625. 15.625. Okay, if you don't have that button, it might be x to the y or y to the x. Those are the other ones that sometimes, like Casio's, I think sometimes have that as your button, your exponent button. Okay, and then 10 to the 3rd. So that one, 10 times 10 times 10, that is 1,000. Okay, so those are all where we had positive bases. Now let's look at if I have a negative base. So -2 squared. So to the 2nd power is also for shorthand called squared. And that's something throughout class this is the exponent we're gonna use the most, squaring things. So -2 to the 2nd power, or we just say -2 squared. And then with the next one, to the 3rd power, just, you know, sometimes it's called cubed. And we've done that, like with units. Inches times inches is inches squared. Inches times inches times inches is inches cubed. So we've been doing this just with units, not with numbers really so much yet. So -2 squared, that means this is, I'm going to use parentheses this time, -2 times -2, because with the parentheses there, the negative is also being squared. So this is going to be a +4. Or -2 to the 3rd power. I'm going to write this one out. You can put it in your calculator. But I'm going to, just to talk about the signs, if you put in your calculator, you should get -8. And that's because the -2 times -2 is +4, but then times -2 again is going to go back to negative. So now 8. Or this one, if I have 4 of them, it's like the patterns we talked about with multiplying and dividing negatives, there's 4. So it's like the first 2 are going to pair up and become positive. The second 2 are going to pair up and become positive. So this is going to end up being a positive. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So positive 16. And verify it in your calculator if you want. So regardless of what the base is, what will the sign of the answer be if the exponent is 11? Like we're just gonna do the sign. But like if it was -2 to the 11th or -2 to the 14th. Okay, so if it was 11 is odd, we'd have an extra negative, so it would end up being a negative answer. 14 would be positive, 109 would be negative. So odd exponents, we would end up with a negative answer. Even exponents, we would end up with a positive answer. So we're talking about when we have a negative base. Okay, square roots is another operation we've maybe touched on, but we're going to be using quite a bit the rest of class. So taking the square root of a number, it's like the opposite of squaring. It undoes squaring a number. So like if we had some number squared is 36, figure it out, we could do the square root of 36, which is 6. Okay, so like when I have a square root of 144, I'm trying to figure out what number squared gets me 144. 12. 12 times 12, 12 squared is 144. So the answer would be 12. Now the next one, we'll talk about our calculator now. If we think about, let's first kind of estimate square root of 80. If it was the square root of 81, that would be 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So it should be 8 point something. But now this, you can't really do this by hand. Maybe some people can, but majority of us cannot, including myself. So how we enter this in our calculator, in most calculators, first you hit the second button because it's above x squared. So you hit second, then x squared, because you should see above x squared a square root symbol. So if you hit second x squared, then you'll see the square root symbol and then a parenthesis. And then you enter your 80, hit equals, and let's go to the hundredths place. 8.94. Sometimes we'll even use like squiggly equal signs to show we rounded. It's approximately 8.94. Okay. So here's one application problem. One-story square house is approximately 1,500 square feet. What are the dimensions of the home? So 1,500 square feet. This house is the square. You know, what's this dimension? So question mark times question mark should equal 1,500. So we could do the square root of 1,500. I'm going to write this feet squared. So let's see, square root of 1,500 is about 38 point, we'll go to the hundredth again, 73. And now if I take the square root of feet squared, notice it's just going to end up being feet because the feet or the squared and the square root, it's like they're going to cancel each other. So 38.73 feet by 38.73 feet, if that's the dimensions of the house, it'd be a 1,500 square foot home.